Spectronics Corporation was founded in 1955. It's a third generation, family-owned company in New York that invented this fluorescent leak detection technology. I've had some crazy blow-ups in branches where I've had to try to clean up the floor of a certain wholesaler where the product does what you say. It is quite messy, that's for sure.
Hola, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reliable HVACR podcast. If you guys are listening on the audio version, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever, remember to leave a review, help the show get out to more people. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to check out the live chat, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in wherever you listen to this. And if you guys support the Reliable HVACR channel, remember I'm also on HVAC Nights, available on YouTube and any podcast platform. The full episodes and then clips are uploaded to our Instagram and TikTok. It's a live show every Thursday with two other guys. I got Jake, Cooling with Kraus. I got Curtis, the HVAC guy, two other big YouTubers, and we just kick back and take questions from the live chat, have some fun, joke around, and actually talk about our work week experiences that we've had with tools and different job sites. It's a great time. If you want to go check that out, remember to check out HVAC Nights. And I also want to thank a couple of the sponsors that make this show possible, like Jobber, my favorite CRM. If you guys need to get organized, better manage your business, Jobber is a perfect app for that. It's on your phone, it's on your tablet, it's on your computer, anywhere you have internet access, and you can invoice, quote, do your maintenance agreements, schedule jobs, get this customer hub where you can interact with your customers, send out reminders. It does so much for your business to help you free up your time at the end of the day. So if you guys want a free trial and discount, you can go to getjobber.com/reliable HVACR. Then we have VETO Pro Pack. I cannot tell you how many bags that I went through before finding out about this company with these high quality bags. Ever since I switched over, my bags have lasted so much more. I love the variety and the different uses for these bags. I mean, you can get creative with it. So like I said, go check out VETOProPack.com. Go look for a bag for yourself. You won't regret it. So thanks again to our awesome sponsors. Thanks again to everybody watching, listening. We have good conversations with good people. That's the whole premise here. And I really enjoy what I do, having these people come on and tell their stories. I hope you guys are enjoying them as well. And thank you again for making this what it is. On this episode, we have Matthew Cowley. Hope I said that right. Didn't ask him. From Spectroline. He's been there for a while. Super controversial or polarizing subject, leak dye. But we're going to talk about it. Like I say in the show, we're just laying out the facts. You guys make your own decision. I've personally had that on my truck, and I think that's the same kit or a very early kit. 17 years ago, I've had it and I've kept it. So I actually use this product. And, just real quick, they're the innovators of the leak dye. They have a long history. They've been around since 1955. They're about to celebrate their 70th anniversary. So if that doesn't tell you anything, I don't know what does. If they've been around 70 years, they're not messing up. They're not having issues. And I think we're going to go over some comments and different things that I got, when I asked for questions. And the main thing is, just know how to use it. It is a leak dye or a leak seal. And they are, the one that is not toxic. It's not going to burn your hand. It's not going to do anything like I've heard of others doing. So I have had people tell me that they've had issues with other brands, for different reasons. It is oil based. You're not going to have any sort of issues with it in the system. Again, the main thing is, that if you don't use it right or you make a mess of it, it's hard to clean up. That's the main issue. So like I said, I've always used Spectroline. It's the one that I preferred. It's the one that I've always had. It's the one that I use when I just don't know, where the leak is. There's no oil stain. Leak detector's not going off. I can only spray so many bubbles in a system, right? There's a whole bunch of surface area. I normally just spray down the common points, but uh, in an instance where I can't find it and I don't want to tell the customer, I don't know, I can't find it, right? I mean, because you're gonna look horrible by saying that or just not being able to fix it. Options, another tool in your arsenal. This is just another option, and the one that I would trust in a die or a seal is Spectroline. So with that being said, let's talk about some leak dye, what it does, how it's made, all that good stuff. And if you want to find out more information, they actually have a lot of really good information on their website. You can go to spectroline.com, check them out. Like I said, I trust them over others. So enjoy the episode. All right, Matt, how are you? Life, how's everything?
Good, good. How are you, Adrian? It's nice to finally be able to get onto the podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate you making it out to the show. Welcome to the Reliable Podcast. But I'm doing pretty good. We're getting heat waves. I'm in Texas. I don't know where you're from. I see you're wearing a hoodie. That's not what we see around here.
Up in New York. So actually,
Okay.
we're just turning the air conditioners on this week up here. So yeah, I know you are a couple months into the season down in Texas. That's for sure.
That's what I always tell people. I'm like, I know summer hasn't officially started, but like in March, we start seeing the hot weather or like April. And I was like, no, we've been running no cool calls for a couple months now. And it's just getting hotter and hotter.
It tends to be, that the heat belt, whether it's through Florida and Texas into Arizona, tends to be, our big markets for, all of our products. That's for sure.
A lot of AC, yeah, because
it
runs
exactly.
all. We run it all year. It's
yes.
an all year thing.
Yes.
Well, again, thanks for coming on the show to have the much controversial, polarizing, infamous, whatever you want to call it, the leak dye. So, for anybody watching, listening, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're at? Obviously, you're with the Spectroline there.
Yep. So I manage the Spectroline leak detection division here at Spectronics Corporation. So to backtrack a little, Spectronics Corporation was founded in 1955. It's a third generation, family owned company in New York that invented this fluorescent leak detection technology. Obviously, the only real way to explain the company is to focus first on the automotive industry, where the product is just accepted on the OEM side a lot more than the HVAC industry.
So is that already like in vehicles, like from the factory, or how does that work?
Yep, we have a certain technology that is a proprietary patented product that we've had for years that is included, like you just mentioned, on the OEM side, from the factory. So obviously, a lot of the manufacturers, there's newer manufacturers recently, but we are the only OEM approved dye and sealant on the automotive market, in the EV industry. So it is something that we're heavily focused on. It is a industry that we're in all different phases. So we're on the OEM side, we're in your jobbers, like your any of your O'Reilly's type of stores, but we're also in your dealerships, and then in the other markets as well. You have an industrial, which would be your fluid base, your hydraulic fluids, some glycol, but the main focus of the company is any closed loop system. So, the main purpose is the fluid needs to circulate to identify those leak sites. So that's kind of where that time delay comes in on the HVAC side. When the product is added on the service side, there tends to be that little delay that we have where, some of the other methods tend to, maybe give you that reading immediately.
Yeah, because it's not just like, obviously we know it as in a HVAC system. People that are watching this, it's not only for refrigerant. So you guys are in, other industries, other types of, like you said, hydraulics, anything like that. Like leak dye is pretty prominent outside of HVAC as well.
You hit that right on the head. The concept is that, there's always going to be circulating fluid in closed loop systems. And, just having the way to be more of a preventative maintenance type of leak check. All the other methods across this industry are, not preventative. They're more reactive, when
Oh yeah.
definitely like, no different than the soap bubbles being number one, but even your electronic sniffers, you don't use it until there's an actual issue. Where our product, you have the ability to, include it in your service contracts, include it on your, your little startups at the beginning of the year, just doing a little lamp inspection. So there is a different value add for our products than some of the other methods in the market.
Yeah, I will say, like, I'm going to get into some questions and comments that people have told me, like asking around, who's used it, what kind of experience they've had with it. And it's honestly, it's like 50-50. It's not going to be all bad or all good. There's going to be people that love it, some people that are skeptical. So like I said, we'll get into all of that, but it is nice and convenient when you can go up to a system and just shine a light to it, right? Like you said, we have our electronic leak detectors. I got my electronic, I got my bubbles, and I got my leak dye. I've always, told people that options are better.
Of course.
Whatever your first option is, go for that. Obviously, to me, a visual in any kind of troubleshooting that I do on the HVAC side, a visual is the first thing I need to do, right? You're not going to run out to a system and start, tearing it apart or putting dye into it or just even hooking up gauges. You're going to do a visual first, right? You might see oil, you might not. Find out the system's low on charge. What do you do next, right? And then like, what's the next step after that? Because there are systems, and I hardly use this dye, right? It's not my first go-to. I'm going to be honest, but I've actually used it like 3 times in the past few months just because it's a system that I just cannot find the leak. Like, it has to be the smallest micro leak. Leak detector's not going off. I mean, you can only spray so much with the bubbles, right?
Yeah.
You just try to hit all the main points and nothing bubbles, right? And there's no oil stains or anything to show you, okay, let's bring out the leak dye. Let's put it in there, top it off with refrigerant, tell the customer we're going to let it run for a bit, come back and inspect it, basically do a follow-up. And more times than not, you're going to see a light show in there where the leak is, right? And you just, tell them, okay, this is a problem. Here are your options, or we can let it run. Because like I'll ask you about the differences a little bit later, but like the glow seal, you guys have a sealant. And I told Laura about the when we were talking about using it, and I was like, yeah, I've used it. No news is good news sometimes, right? You put
Always.
it in there.
Yes.
You put it in there and it's like, okay, I hope they don't call me back. I hope
no
it's
callbacks are great news with a sealant. The fact that the house is holding that chill is a good sign that that's, product is working.
And I've actually had that, I think, twice now. It was a small cooler. Obviously, I did have a comment about like what they hate the most is the misuse and not labeling that the unit has leak dye in it, which I do like that you guys include the labels. So that's not something that everybody does, right? You guys have nice little labels in there. Just make sure you stick that on there when you use it. But I actually had that happen twice. It was a reach-in cooler that I knew it leaked out, but that's like ounces, right? It's not a big system. We're not putting pounds of refrigerant. It's just ounces. I don't know where it came out of. Still don't know, but I put the glow seal in there and it's been working fine. I haven't touched it in probably a year. And then I had an AC system, right? It's a microchannel. A lot of guys here know that microchannels are notorious for leaking. So I was like, okay, I can't find it. I don't see any stains. I checked all my major joints and areas that I would normally have a leak and nothing. So I put the glow seal in again, and then I actually got called back. I want to say it was like 6-7 months later. That unit was running just fine. It was the other two that were down, and one of them had a huge leak. I mean, I didn't need to put anything on it. I could see it. But the one that I put glow seal in actually like held up 7 months later or so. This podcast is presented by Local. Local works tirelessly to help HVAC contractors rank higher on Google. They use an attack methodology to make sure that contractors dominate their local service areas and increase their market share and generate higher revenue. Reach out to Local at localhq.com/reliable. Mention me or the Reliable HVACR podcast, and you'll get 2 months of SEO for free.
Well, just to circle back to that visual inspection that you mentioned, in the other markets, with the product being included on the OEM side, the service side, picture your car when you bring it to the dealer and you're saying your system's not working, like you just said to yourself, you have like 4 or 5 checklists that you run through. On the other markets, that visual inspection, the lamp, UV lamp inspection is included in that process, which helps eliminate that longevity of leak checking, including obviously we're not into the residential side, but when you get into some of the more expensive refrigerators, that same kind of technology is included in there, where your refrigerator technician comes there and he knows, like, the system could take me hours to find that pinhole leak there, but if anywhere inside of there's a fluorescent response, he knows immediately to maybe change out that compressor to get that system up and running and get him out of that house and on to the next job site as quick as possible. Because we know, obviously, the time that callback is, you're not able to charge that homeowner that fee over and over again while you're just coming back. And again, that response time, the refrigerant cost that's coming up, even the changeover that I'm sure we'll see in 6 months starting next year with that 410A increase, I'm sure we'll the leak checking and the service side with a preventative maintenance type product is probably going to be something that needs to be included.
Sure. And I'm going to pull from a comment that I had, because that brings up a point that somebody made. Somebody told me, I can't, they're like, I'm not convinced, right? I can't get myself to use it. Obviously, they mentioned they had a bad experience with it. I'll get to that later, though. It's also like how you use it. And obviously it's a dye. You don't want it to get on you. I mean, there's plenty of like steps you need to take to use this product, which I learned the hard way too. When I first got into this trade and I first tried a leak kit, I got it everywhere, probably except the system.
Yeah.
So it happens, but
I've had some crazy blow ups in branches where I've had to try to clean up the floor of a certain wholesaler, where the product does what you say. It is quite messy, that's for sure.
Yeah, if you don't know how to use it, or you never used it before, and you're just not aware of it. Another point is, I do like that you guys include a cleaner in it, which like I said, when I made that mess, I was like, thank God I have something to get the stuff off my hands at least, or whatever, my face. There's a cleaner in the kit. I love the kit that you guys do. But the guy mentioned that he wasn't convinced. Bad experience. He's like, I'm always gonna just pump it up with nitrogen and find the leak, right? And I get that point, but some of these leaks, you really need a lot of pressure to be able to push out a bubble or have your leak detector go off if it's that small, right? You need a lot of nitrogen. And I told him, I was like, because we're talking about right now about convenience and things like that. My response was like, dude, I like where I'm at, like today, it's basically 120 degrees. It's like 118. I am not recovering, or it's going to be difficult for me to recover 8 pounds or whatever it is, because I work on commercial equipment. 8 pounds or so of 410A on its own gets really hot when you try to pull it out. It's in the sun. You're trying to, pump it out, recover it, get it in that cylinder. You a lot of times need like ice, a ton of ice to keep it cool, or whatever setup you have, because it just wants to overheat. Then your machine doesn't work, right? So all that trouble to get the refrigerant out just to put nitrogen in it, while I'm out there in 115, whatever it is, degrees, I do not have the time to do that. And my customer will not pay me. I mean, I deal with a lot of big commercial accounts. These are well-known establishments. They cry if I go there and I charge them a full 8 hours or whatever it is a day, right? A day's worth of work. I was like, dude, if I can just go in there and put a leak cell or a leak dye in it and not have to deal with it because I just lost a few ounces or a pound or whatever it was, like micro leaks, I'd rather do that than take everything out, be up there for hours, and then just be in the heat, you know?
No, if anything, that opportunity there pretty much explains, everything that gives the dye the advantage there. You're talking, tons of the possibility of losing tons of refrigerant, which the cost is just skyrocketing. Not only that, the leak check, the size of that kind of building could take, days with some of the other methods that are in there, and then, the callback.
And I cannot have an AC down all day.
No,
And
especially maybe in an apartment or in a a
I
hotel lobby or something like that.
I do restaurants and
Restaurants,
hospitals.
not that's not acceptable. So
Yeah.
and then you talk about incorporating a very inexpensive preventative maintenance product that is compatible with it's cleaner than the oil in your system. So I'm sure we might touch on this in a little bit, but all of the equipment, the standard black gold, the JB oil that's in their system, is filtered down to around 12 microns. All of our dyes across all the markets are filtered under 2. So, the way we were able to get the Copeland approval years ago was this, you're able to run a system with our oil as your oil. The dye is just an oil. So, the fact that what you're adding is just pretty much very, very clean oil. So you already have a leaking system that lost some oil. So you're topping off the oil, which is always a good thing, and pretty much now that leak check that costs you 8 hours of that, restaurant's, pocket, you pretty much could find that leak, relatively quicker or, a lot quicker if you're able to incorporate that preventative maintenance product in the beginning or before there's that issue. It's just the way the product's used in the other markets, like we talked about it. I get it. It's the big red or the black hole of dye in the HVAC market. If anything, I have a feeling that the problem is if you ask that person who the manufacturer they used, 9.9 out of 10 times they're going to say, "Oh, I don't know who it was." If somebody has used us, if they have that green kit on their truck, it's like what you said, that first video you put out. It might not be something that is like the nice shiny green kit in the front of your truck, but it's something that if you use and have success with it, you still come to it when at your last resort. It's just getting rid of that last option and using it now with the ability and the cost and all the issues that we're seeing on the startups, including our dye in the beginning, is only going to help, remove all those callbacks right before, there is those issues that we're having.
And I mean, honestly, in the past, it's been a lot of user error on like installs, right? Like bad people that create leaks or whatever. Nowadays, unfortunately, leaks are a little more common. It's just, manufacturing on these different brands, some stuff, quality control, whatever you want to call it. Like we're doing leak searches, I think, more often now than before. I always tell people they don't make things like they used to. It's like, it's that cliche thing, but it's true. Like a lot of people complain that, oh man, the evaporators are always leaking and this and that. So leak searches in general are just, I think, more common now. And like what you mentioned about the oil, it being oil based or technically just, oil. Those are the kinds of products that I gravitate to because I also deal with, or I carry a lot of refrigeration technologies, right? So a lot of their stuff is oil based as well, like their nylon and, other products. Food safety on their end is important to me. So like having a leak dye that's a little safer and like compatible, that's a big deal for me too.
And we have that NSF certification that you just mentioned that they have as well. Obviously it's a big more focus on the industrial market, but there is certain NSF certification that we do have for the manufacturing facilities that do, obviously it's an oil base, so you can't eat it. But like if it comes in contact with some of the equipment and it's cleaned properly, you're able to use this across, all of the industries. There's nothing really to hold us back from using some dye, our type of dye. Whereas
Yeah.
the other products are going to be particle based. So, most fluorescent dyes, no different than the right behind you, your reliable HVAC sign, like that thing glowing behind you. It's all going to be powdered based with something that holds that together. Where our product is pretty much just taking that hose fluid, whether it's your glycol or your engine gearbox or your brake fluid, and chemically bonding our proprietary color or our dye to that actual hose fluid. So you're not able to filter it out over time, or you're, unless you remove that hose fluid completely, you never get any of a product, it doesn't weaken over time. Whereas in some of the other dyes we have aren't really going to be dye at all. They're going to be more focused on the sealants. When obviously that's a different conversation, but they're not dye focused. And again, we're been around since 1955. If Spectronics was making products that was causing system failures, we would not still be in business. If you think of my competitors that are in this market, they're all besides maybe like a Clip Light that kind of invented that sealant industry, but they're not around anymore. And if anything, all of the other products are kind of are just kind of me too that came into from an issue that was ongoing. They saw a need in our market and took advantage of some contractors, basically some inexperienced contractors.
Yeah, and you touched on it earlier that they've been around since, because I have the website pulled up, since 1955, right? Yep. So longevity, like not only is it a family business, because you said this is a third generation now, right?
Yes, sir.
So not only is it a family business that is thriving, I mean, they've been around this long. Longevity to me speaks volumes, because like you said, if this stuff wasn't working or it was causing issues, you'd be out of business real quick.
Yep. That's,
especially in today's world.
Totally agree with that. And like I said, the only industry that we're really not sitting at the table, just yet, maybe with some of these major equipment manufacturers, is this market. Across the other industries, when people are looking for leak checking or a preventative maintenance type product to enhance what they're selling to an end user, we're the first ones that come to mind. So if anything, we're looking forward to all the changes in the newer refrigerants, obviously all the changes in the equipment, because all of these questions about including a preventative maintenance product or having a compatible A2L compatible type dye or all these new refrigerants that are out there, we're the only ones that can actually handle those types of testing, because we actually manufacture both the dye and sealant in-house. So it's a little different than what some of my other competitors are around the HVAC market.
And I love that, because I've taken on or like anything I use, like I mentioned, I kind of look into it. I make sure that it's like, safe, or how it works and stuff like that. Same with you guys. And then like I talked to another company that's sponsored, and a lot of their stuff is also in-house, and I like that there's a quality control there. You guys are doing all that on your own. Like you said, it's A2L compatible. It's compatible with many things. So
yeah, we actually just moved into our new manufacturing facility just after COVID. So they actually were in a building since the beginning on Long Island, that they obviously we were in a bunch of different industries before we were today. We had a lot of non-destructive testing, maybe lamp-based products that used the 365 nanometer range on the lights, and we're more stationary. Now we're more in a chemical facility that strictly focuses on just fluorescent leak detection and system additives. So they've kind of streamlined the process, knowing that the family has decided that there always will be that closed loop system with issues. So you basically have a product that is going to be, again, the longevity of the company. These issues are endless. So we might be having this conversations about all these hurdles we're seeing in the HVAC market, but hopefully in the next couple of years we've crossed a bunch of those off.
I also want to thank DIVERSITECH. They simplify your work. They have everything a contractor needs to complete a job. That goes from equipment mounting, condensate, management, tools, maintenance chemicals, electrical components, indoor air quality, and much more. If I go look at my van, like half of the stuff, including parts, is from my DIVERSITECH. branch. They have different branches under the same umbrella. More than likely, you're already using some of their products or tools. So go check out DIVERSITECH.com, and it's your one-stop shop for everything HVAC. Today's episode is also brought to you by NAVIEN. If you haven't seen it yet, NAVIEN has entered the HVAC space in a big way with the new NPF hydro furnace. This hydronic forced air furnace delivers industry-leading variable capacity operation from 15 to 100% in both natural and propane configurations. You can learn more at navieninc.com. I don't like to be biased. I don't like to push anything on anyone. Like, we're just having conversation with factual, information, and you guys, listening can make your own decision. And I just want to clarify, like, when you guys came to me, right, when I started talking to your team, it was actually based off of a joke that I made, and I appreciate, that you guys have a sense of humor and all that. But I actually, like you mentioned, I actually had the kit on my van. I had the old school kit.
Yep.
I did not even, like, to be honest, I did not even realize what brand it was. I just knew it was the green kit, the green box, right? And I've had that since I started. I don't know if it's the same exact kit, but I've had that, I've been using it since I started like 17 years ago. And I've had others. Like, I've gone into the supply house, and like, I get it. They got to push whatever they're pushing. They have stuff at the counter sometimes. They want you to try something that they're trying to sell. Every time they did that, I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I trust this one, right? And I've tried a couple, and it just doesn't work. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna go look I need the refill for my kit, right? I just don't even like try and sell me on anything else. Like, I've had that kit forever, and I always kept refilling it whenever I used it. Like I said, might not use it every month, every few months. I might not even use it for like a year, but it's there. I know I can trust it. It's always, it's always my little, green kit that I had. I just didn't know the name of it.
No, that's that's a great team that we have in house now with some new marketing, like you mentioned, Laura, earlier. So we're able to move a lot quicker on some of these things. So we're glad that you were able to reach out to us, and we got into contacts regarding to get onto this podcast. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, I just wanted to clarify. Like, I have used the product. That's why I was okay, like, showing it a little bit more. And I'm like I've had it forever. It's just, if I need it, it's there. And I've had it work. I've tried other ones. I get callbacks on the other ones. I just have to put that out there. And recently, I have not had any callbacks on the glow.
You mentioned the brand awareness.
I've been using the glow seal more now.
No, we again, we're the you might be our own little fault here, but we always were a dye only company. So we it took us some time to actually develop our own sealant. But as I mentioned, we actually manufacture our own sealant in house. So there are, we obviously across all the markets, we are very that product is used across the automotive market as well, that same type of chemical. So again, that sealant is made in-house, and it's very pure and oil-based. And, again, it's something that we stand behind with the same compatibility that our dye does. That's for sure.
So, like, you guys, we mentioned it already, but I have it here. Like, you manufacture your own stuff. Even the lights, right? Like, the lights are a little bit better than what you would find at a store or something, off the shelf.
The lights might be the only thing that comes maybe packaged from overseas, but most of the design is done in house. So obviously, even like the cartridges, maybe some of the plastics don't come from Spectroline and Melville, but if anything, I would say 99% of the products are touched in Melville, obviously, and before they head out to an end user. So they're pretty much
it works best with the lights that you guys provide, right? They're a little bit better.
We're always going to say using a Spectroline lamp is geared towards the best fluorescent response, but you strictly need to be focused on that nanometer range. So some of the other markets, that 365 is a pure UV. So the pure UV won't have a focus, so pretty much you can't tell if it's on or off. So the reasoning for the violet light or the 400 nanometers is it gives you that beam of focus, which really is kind of what we need in the HVAC market and most of the other markets that we're in. When we get into some of the industrial products, some of our other color dyes. So in the industrial market, we have say a certain customer might want a white dye because that dye has the best response off of their, the equipment that they're selling, or based off of the type of how dark the engine gear fluid is, that the white doesn't give the best response, so they use our blue dye. So there are some, in the other markets we do a lot of more in-house testing on which product to use best. So sometimes you need a little bit more powerful lamp to fluoresce those dyes that are in the other markets that we supply.
Yeah, and I mean, I got to see you all at the AHR Expo, right? And I hung around for a bit. I was actually impressed with guys that were coming up, and I was talking to them, and they're like, "Nah, man, like this is the only one that I use. I've tried others. Like you mentioned the toxicity on stuff earlier. Like there was a guy, and he left me a comment again, but I mean, I remember talking to him in person over there that he the only reason he won't use another brand and he sticks with, I think you guys, is another brand of dye got on his skin, and I guess it stayed there for like, for the day, for the work day, and it rashed, it burned or something, and like it caused issues. And he's like, never again, dude. He's like, that was like horrible, right?
Painful.
Horrible to deal with. Yeah.
Some of the competitive products will show that the pictograms now, obviously all those new EPA or whatever warnings that we're seeing on the labeling now, whereas, all of our products basically are non-hazardous, across all our markets. It's pretty much going to be however you're treating that host fluid. So however you would handle your oil, is the same way you would handle our dye. So that you're right. Some of the other products are going to have you're going to have something that needs to hold that product together. So there is an additive or some type of chemical additive that's included with, a powerful sealant. And, that's going to cause some reactions that cause harm on some of your skin.
Yeah. And I think he asked me about it, and I was, or I got a comment about it too. And I was like, I've never had a rash or anything from this, because I've gotten it on my skin too, but I was like, I've never had that
worst
reaction.
Worst thing with us is you'll probably glow for a couple of weeks, but if anything, wearing a glove, and like you said, understanding the product and using it in the best practices and following the instructions, it's only going to help by taking your time not to have that blowout on a side of a house, because we all know that happens, and it is a pain in the butt to clean up. We understand all those hurdles, but taking your time and understanding the injection systems that we have is the best way to eliminate that hiccup that we have.
So, like, I don't know about other the other industries you're in, but I think on the HVAC side, do you have two different kits, or two different methods of injecting, or is there more? Because I know.
Yep.
I personally like the knob one. I've always used it, but someone was like, I tried that, it blew up on me, and then he wanted he compared it to another brand, and then I saw it, and I'm like, oh, they also have that. They have the one,
Yep.
with the discharge pressure.
Exactly. Our glow stick method, where you're kind of using the system pressure to flush it in, it could be compared to the market's direct inject. So before we've had the easy eject method, we've had the direct inject out for now about 30 years, 25 years. So if anything, our direct inject version was just called glow sticks, and we didn't give you the fittings on your cartridge or your capsule. I mean, we gave you one fitting, and it made you be able to reuse that injection system, which brought down the cost. So that is one injection system. And then the other method is our easy eject method, which is overcoming the pressure. In the other markets, tends to be, say, industrial is more of an on and off with the equipment. So you tend to pour that in as a dosage. And that tends to be a lot more measurements involved. When you get to, like, say, a reservoir of 5,000 gallons of fluid, you need to figure out what's the correct amount of dye being added. In the automotive market, we have a little bit of a mix of, we have the easy eject method that we have in HVAC. We have a mini version or a mini eject, which is obviously the same concept, just obviously a lot less fluid in your car. So a lot less cartridge you're getting in the automotive market. And then, we do have a big easy kit, which is for your commercial size, but that tends to be just strictly for, large applications. And the residential kit tends to be the breadwinner for us across the HVAC market. The glow stick and the easy eject methods.
Yeah, and I like personally the I want to say it's the easy eject. Is that the one you twist?
Yes, that will overcome the pressure. Yep.
Yeah, and I've always had good luck with it. I've never had it, like the guy mentioned to me, like blow up on me.
I'm not as seasoned as you are, and if anything, I myself would much rather use that easy eject kit than taking out my manifold and my gauges or using the system pressure or a can to actually.
Because I bought one of the other ones because like I said, they talked me into buying one, and then I went back and I was like, no, I want Spectroline. But
it's a separate tool.
Yeah, I tried it and I was like, I don't like this whole thing. I just want the easy eject. That's my preference. And with the easy eject, I will say, because we're talking about like you're talking about measurements on the automotive or hydraulic whatever it was. I like being able to maybe just put in half the stick, whatever it is. You don't always need to put. I know there's a tonnage on it, right? There it tells you up to so many tons. But if it's not a big system, I'll put in like a quarter of it, half of it, whatever I need to with that easy eject. That's just my preference.
I don't want to admit that, Adrian, but you probably could use even less because the oil charge on systems right now, the years ago when you had all the different oils, there was a large range on those oil capacities and systems of 4 or 5 tons, 6, are all different ranges, even in the commercial. Now that gap is that range is a lot smaller. So if anything, that easy jet cartridge, you're right. There's those graduals on the side there are actually there for a reason. And there's only a half ounce of fluid in there. So technically, on the residential side, you're talking 1 milliliter per ton. And if anything, back to a competitor product, you're adding anywhere from 2 to 4 ounces of a chemical into those smaller systems. Where again, being Spectroline and being able to understand the chemical side a little bit more, we are actually dosing the system with the correct amount of dye. It's not more of a guessing game on our end, where we kind of have come up with a recommended dosage per application.
Yeah, and I think I was just being like cautious when I started, and I was like, I don't know if I want to put the whole thing in, right? Because I don't know how much it was. There are times where I do throw it all in, especially like if it's really low, it's an older system, and I'm like, I really want it to show up. I'll throw the whole thing in there on a bigger HVAC equipment.
It's funny your statement there. The dye less is actually more of our product, because if you add more of that cartridge, again, I'd rather all these contractors buy one cartridge and just put it in all the time. But if anything, when you're adding that dye in, you're adding, when you flood that or add, say, that whole easy eject, even though you're only adding 0.5 ounces of oil to that system, that color, it almost becomes more mudded or a little bit darker. Where when you add less of our product, you really get almost more of a fluorescent response, which is, again, back to the our engineering team and all the chemistry behind the actual product, where that the fluorescent response is matching that host fluid in the system. Where again, the other products in this market, 9.9 out of 10 times are sealant first, so you're not even getting that fluorescent response. And then again, the fluorescent response is just not going to be that Spectroline OEM grade dye.
Yeah, and you're being honest, and that's a good thing. That I love honest companies and how they do their information that we put out there. But I just wanted to bring that up because like some people hate dye and they despise it. And I'm like, if you use it in moderation, it's not that bad, right? And I have a whole kit. I use disposable gloves. I try to be as neat as possible. I have my paper towels ready, just in case. I wipe away all the stuff on the hose. Like I said, you guys have the cleaner in the kit itself. I'll use that. Just try to make it neat and know what you're kind of doing there.
Of course.
And it's like I said, the last like 3 times that I used it, there's been no mess like at all.
Yep. No, we you know, if the product is used correctly, it definitely does what it's needed to.
So you guys obviously like you mentioned are Copeland approved, right? So essentially what that is that just them saying they won't do any damage, or how did you guys get that?
So the approval was decided way before my tenure at Spectronics, and if anything, my understanding is that the compatibility of the oil. So we were able to prove to Copeland that you could run a complete system as using Spectroline dye as your oil, and that basis right there, as basic as it might seem, is what led to them including us on that refrigerant, or that chart that they have. So if anything, they continue to pull that that statement along with them. We don't really have much further with that. If anything, we are always interested in getting into as much approvals as we possibly can. I mean, we talked about this earlier. We enjoy those conversations because again, we make and manufacture all these products, so and we understand the compatibility and how well they work. So the Copeland approval is something that still stands today. If anything, we're open to getting into more of those conversations in the near future with some of the other OEMs out there.
Hey, I mean that's something not everybody has, right? I mean that's a approval
Great.
on the OEM side there.
Yep.
Do you guys offer any training on your products?
We're about a year or two ago, we're a NATE certified lab, so we do have the NATE training. I know that's a heavy focus on the HVAC market. We do have training available. So that there is. You mentioned our website. Our website has been, they have done an overhaul, every couple of months, so it's gotten much better. And there's tons of training section actually available on the website that you could go right into and pull some of our PowerPoints and get to some of the further educations that we have.
And that's that's on your products, right? Like how to use them and
how to use them. Some additional on the NATE training would be more of just the overall leak checking and the leak technologies in the HVAC market. So we might touch base on the the old school halide torches, touch base on the bubbles, and getting into the little bit of the electronic sniffers, and then more of a just an overall industry PowerPoint or presentation, not as much Spectroline focus as maybe today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I've talked to other companies that kind of do something similar to that, and I like that. It's like a training on your products, but it's also just probably like a leak detection type of deal.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Definitely. We tend to we understand there's other methods out there, and as you made us aware earlier, you have all three on your truck. You're going to have your bottle of your soap bubbles. You're going to have a electronic sniffer on there, an Infocon, and having that green kit like you mentioned from 17 years ago will always be something that you might have on your truck.
Yeah, man. Okay, I'm gonna switch over to comments real quick. Somebody brought up, I think because the only other issue would be like warranty. So does this product void warranty? I think somebody brought up, I think there's a train clause that does show that they do not want you to put dye in the system or any additives.
Warranties are a weird game where if you're you're the end user, you have a product under warranty, you go to your wholesaler, say, right? The wholesaler is usually going to make the contractor whole immediately. And then, the warranty issue then sits, say, at your local wholesaler, and then they're dealing with the manufacturer. Are we approved by all the different OEMs or, the equipment manufacturers like that? We're not. Is Spectroline dye ever going to cause system failure? No. So again, I know, of course, of a handful of contractors, like you mentioned earlier about the coils, they've gone from copper to aluminum. So you're starting to see more issues on startups there. I have a handful of contractors that are using them on their new installs. And, when they're getting to that question, they're sending images to their,
Yeah.
whatever company you want to mention, and saying that this is not possible to be done by my install team that does, 5 installs, whatever. You're talking some large companies that, do a lot of equipment installs a year. So again, the warranty game is something that we haven't been able to cross in the HVAC market. But again, circling back to the other industries, we're included on the OEM side. So it's, the car you're driving in, which our product is approved, has a human in it, which is a little different than the $5,000 equipment on the side of your house. You have $100,000 car with, humans in it. So like a little bit more, you would think approval has to go into that than your normal HVAC equipment, but we're not there yet. So it is becoming a little bit of a different to get to there.
Yeah, and just by like the information that we laid out, getting into this, like I don't see why it wouldn't be approved, other than they just don't want to. They want to give a reason. Yep. Yeah, they want to give a reason, like not to, warrant a warranty. So, yeah, he asked about the warranty, and I understand that, and but you've had guys, because I've also heard this, like doing it on install, because they're going to ask you for proof too, right? They're going to be like, where is this leak, or
yep.
anything like that. And the visual representation of a leak die is pretty good as proof.
Yep, that's definitely the way that they're showcasing the product. If that pushback is, where is it leaking? When you show a complete coil glowing, it's not possible for that to be done from your contractor just installing that equipment.
And this was Ty Brenneman. It's a guy that I know. He does a lot of teaching and stuff online. He's like, my only problem is, people that keep adding too much to it. So we've already covered that. Like you can, on certain ones, kind of, put it in moderation. And he also just said, make sure you label them. I think you guys are probably the only ones that I've seen with labels.
And that's becoming an issue that we're starting to see across, all the markets. Not only is the system becoming a problem, picture your equipment now, your contractor equipment. So you're going to that homeowner and you're doing your initial visual inspection. And how are you supposed to know that there's dye in that equipment? And, or even a sealant, say. So now you're hooking up your manifold, looking to get your initial readings. And right off the bat, you're adding a problematic chemical to your very expensive digital manifold now. So there are some things that we're trying to, maybe get into in the near future to really help, the contractors try to figure that out.
Yeah, like I got it on my probes recently. I have the digital probe set from a unit that wasn't labeled, and obviously when I hooked up to it, I had just yellow dye everywhere. Now it doesn't kill them. It doesn't do anything horrific to them. It's taking me a while to get it all out. That's the only thing.
Yes. But, some of those other sealants in the market, they tend to go to attack, oxygen and moisture. And in Texas, you leave that, your hoses in your truck, you tend to could have some oxygen and moisture in there. And then, down the road, who knows, what that could cause, for your expensive equipment.
Yeah, I think I had a question. I'm trying to find it about, but I mean, obviously, like we said, if we lay out all the information, you can kind of, come to your own conclusion, because people are mostly worried about like it was on YouTube actually. So I've had a lot of questions about the TXV electronic expansion valves now.
Yep.
But if it's oil based, I don't know about the glow seal though. I don't know if there's any issue with it.
Same oil-based product is not going to have any issues with the way that product attacks the sealants, and it goes after those leak sites.
It's not going to clog up any metering device or TXV or anything.
No, not. And the other thing is, it's just the use of some of the other products in the market. It tends that we would love, or internally would love, that everyone uses glow seal first. But you mentioned, sometimes at the wholesale level, there are certain products that are pushed that cause some, false positives on the industry on this type of technology.
Yeah, I mean, that happens with everybody. The other companies I've mentioned, they're not the first option when you go in the door. I always ask for like the ones that I
Of course.
like researched and found that I liked, or like I said, is not toxic or not as toxic, or however you want to say it, and is safe, because like that's my main thing, right? Food safety, like with cleaning chemicals, and then like yours, I just don't want to rash all over my hands if I get that on me.
No, totally understand.
And then someone else asked about motor windings, but if Copeland approves it, obviously it's not going to do any damage to your compressor. Yeah, a lot of people said that it worked for them. It's just a mess. And
The dye is messy.
if
Yeah.
you guys buy the kit, like I said, the cleaning spray is in there, and that does wonders for that. I don't know what it does, because soap and water will not get it out, but that cleaner will get it out.
No, that it's actually that when we came up with the Glow Away Plus, it was a very neat. Who would have thought that a demo of a cleaner could be very interesting? And it actually, brings the dye together, and it makes it like it's an emulsifier, which is just something that was very neat that we were able to do. So, you're on the metal, on the equipment, after you say braise it, you're really able to pull that dye off of any of that equipment to make sure that you're actually getting that hold on anything that you fix.
Yeah, do you guys sell that separate? I've
Yep.
always just got the kit. Okay.
Yep. And if anything, it seems like it's not a lot in there. Like you're only getting a 2-ounce bottle from us, but it's really concentrated. So if anything, you don't need that much. It's kind of something that we're focused on across all of our products. The making a chemical that's highly concentrated, compatible with anything. Makes you use a lot less, but that's what helps it across all the markets.
Yeah, I was gonna say my 17-year-old kit had a huge bottle in it,
Yes.
and then the new
Yes.
one had a smaller one, but it's fine. Like
Yes.
as long as you can buy it, or you sell it separate, because I don't think you should be without it. Like that's why I like the kit so much. It's everything in there that you need, including the cleanup. Someone else mentioned that they found a leak on a large system. Tried everything, could not find the leak, and they had to add the dye. Came back a month later with the UV light, and they found that the smallest leak, that their bubbles or anything else just could not find. And that's where I think that this product, really shines. No pun intended. And someone else found the dye inside the drain pan. Obviously, the coil was leaking, and it's something that you can put in and come back to, right? Like I said, you want to get them cooling, you want to get them by, instead of like pulling the charge and spending the whole day. Which, if you can do that, fine. If you're going to charge a day's worth of work, fine. There is instances where you can do that. There's some other times where you can't. I've had a few of those pop up recently. Just, I'm not going to be out in the heat, 120 degrees, for like a micro leak. I don't know.
Yep.
Someone else saying that they can't even get coils, but that's a whole different problem. Yeah, and then someone else said, well, I'm kind of condensing some of these comments because they're similar. Like,
I get it.
saves a lot of time saves a lot of time finding the leak. It can be annoying, but it's not catastrophic. Like, it does no damage.
It works 24/7. So it works when the contractor is not at the homeowner. So the dye is actually circulating in that equipment while it's on, and it's trying to identify any imperfections in that system while the contractor is not actually at that equipment site.
And like I said, leaks are a little more common now.
Yep.
This whole thing with the A-tool shift, right? I think leak detection is, like you said, I know you guys are embracing the change. You're looking forward to it. Leak detection in general, I think like they're starting to build it into the systems already, right? So they're building in, which I don't know how long they're going to last. I don't know if they're always going to be reliable. That's another thing, right? A dye is pretty reliable if you can put it in on install. Just like I said, because I had a few more comments about labeling it. That's everybody's like main point of focus, is please label the unit. But they're putting in like sensors and different things in these new A2L units, because it's essentially like a propane based refrigerant. You don't want that thing leaking over time and stuff like that. So they are putting in safeties for it, but I actually had somebody, it was a different conversation about, but how reliable are those sensors? Do they fail?
Yep.
How do you know if they fail, right? You don't even know. It could be a faulty one and it just never goes off and you got, all that refrigerant in the house. But uh on on that side of things, like I said, it's more common. It's more on the install side now, and I don't know, maybe we'll see dye in the future being put in on startup.
That's the goal. So we're working on that, Adrian. That's for sure.
Do you guys have a dryer that works with it or something? I heard
Yep.
something about
So
that.
so there is a technology that we use in the automotive market in some of the refrigeration type equipment in the HVAC market, which is called our tracer wafer technology. So it's something that it's a little felt pellet that's incorporated in the sediment of a filter dryer. That when it's included on the say the OEM side, or you're including that filter dryer in the equipment, the dye is installed without the mess. So that pellet actually has the dye, the oil, and the refrigerant are circling through that filter dryer, and it's actually pulling the dye into the system where it eliminates the need to handle the dye. On the OEM side, obviously on a production floor, tends to be a little messy. So by including it in the filter dryer, eliminates that mess. So this is a technology that again, we only make the filter, the pellet or the wafer technology. So finding the best the caddy or the filter dryer, it's something that we're really starting to focus on internally in the HVAC market. Obviously it's the big OEM product on their automotive market, that's for sure.
That's cool to know. I mean, I'm always interested in how, some of this stuff.
That's the technology that kind of started the company. So we, back in the 70s, the founder was able to work with one of the major, automotive manufacturers and develop that technology when they were having quite some issues on their production line where it was taking them hours to find leaks. And he was able to come back with this technology and, show them that by including this, you're able to take that 2-hour leak check time in under 30 minutes. And it was something that was a complete game changer. And kind of that's kind of how Spectronics Corporation started.
Oh, that was actually, one of my questions, like how it got off the ground and stuff. That's
Yep.
one of the or the oldest product then.
Yep. Bill, the founder, was heavily involved in the UV technology. Years ago. I know I probably don't know as much of the stories as I've just heard from, being close to some of the owners. And he was in FAO Schwartz using, doing little demos with his brother. Bill Cooper and Morik were the founders of the company. So there's two families that were involved with it, and they were heavily involved in the chemical and the UV technologies. As kids growing up with that turned it into this company that we're talking about today.
That's awesome. It's always good to know and like how they start and stuff, and that's pretty cool. Love that it's a family business. Love that it's been around since what, the 50s. Like,
Yep.
it's
your
been around.
old banknote, the banknote scanners that used your UV lamps, or your when you would go to the old carnivals and they would stamp your hand, and you would put the hand under like at your local Six Flags, and to see that it said enter.
Yeah.
That was a Spectroline type product from years and years ago. But anything that was UV based, technically started with Spectronics Corporation. Stuff on the space station. There's articles in science magazines that were on the forefront. Years and years ago, which is kind of how we were able to be involved with the longevity that we talked about earlier.
Well, that I'm gonna have to look up all of that because that is interesting stuff.
There's some very neat videos that they put together of the company that with some of the owners actually going over some of the products. I know if you do a deep dive even on YouTube, you can find some of those family owned company videos that they don't want out there that are probably still there. So
and that's the interesting part, because like outside of HVAC, it feels like you guys are very like there's a lot of stories or history there. It's just some of the HVAC guys are a little reluctant, and I get it. It's messy, but just know how to use it.
really only out of all our markets, this is the only one we're really only focused on the service side. You know, obviously there's some OEM interest, but you know, across the other markets, we're OEM first.
Well, that's good to know. Is there anything else you wanted to mention or go over before we close this
No,
out? We're hitting
no,
an hour already.
looking forward to maybe continuing this after you get some additional questions, maybe after the season or in the fall. And you know, again, you mentioned AHR, so it's our 70th anniversary coming up this year. So I'm sure
no
there'll
way.
be a nice thing in Orlando in February 2025.
I'm looking forward to that, man. I just
Yes, sir.
I looked over 1955. That's right. So
Yep, coming up.
that's cool, man.
It was
Thanks for
awesome.
coming on the
Thank you.
show. I appreciate it. A lot
Yep.
of good information. Like I said, I just wanted to go over a lot of experiences that I've had, others had. You know, we answered a lot of the questions that I had in the comments just in conversation. So, like I said, more information, you know, the more you know. That's the best thing about, you know, using a product is the more you know.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it. I appreciate it. Thank you, Adrian.
All right. Thank you for coming on. Everybody watching and listening, I appreciate you guys for tuning in too, and I'll see you guys next time.